This session is about getting started with the Karate API. So you have seen how to install the prerequisites and the basics of API and the basics of Cucumber precisely with gherkins. So now this session you will see how to get started with your IDE as it is covered in one of the previous sessions how to install the software. So assuming the Eclipse and IntelliJ, either of them has already been set up on your machines, let us create a Maven project in either of them. We'll see both of the IDEs now, starting with IntelliJ first. Open the IntelliJ Community Edition that is installed on your machine. Click on File, New, Project. Click on Maven archetype. Karate can be configured in your project in multiple ways. Let us first see the easiest way to get started, and you can practice on this project until you are comfortable with the Karate API automation. So the actual real-time Karate API automation framework designing and end-to-end integration with Jenkins and everything will be covered in the next series. So for now, to practice, we are creating a simple Maven project using the Karate archetype. So Karate archetype is an inbuilt archetype by Karate. You can use that archetype and create the project. So the dependencies and what are all the other configurations that are needed for the Karate is already been taken care when you use this particular archetype. So I'm going to use the same Karate archetype for my project. So the catalog, you should select Maven Central. So the IDE will pull all the archetypes that are available in the central. So that is where our Karate archetype is present. Select the first one, Intuit Karate archetype, and you create the project. So let's see how we create the project on Eclipse. So in the similar lines, go to File, click on New, Project, select Maven Project, click on Maven Project, Next, Next, and here also we should select Maven Central. Let it load. Correct. So you see here the com.intuit.karate, you select that archetype, the first one, click on Next. You specify the group ID and artifact ID as per your requirement. So I'll just use something and click on Finish. I'm not going to create another project because I have already created the Karate project. So this is a Maven project and we'll have a pom.xml with all the configuration, dependencies and few other details. So let us examine what the pom.xml contains. So coming to the dependencies, if you see here, the Karate dependency is already been added and the test resources path is already been added. So the test resource path is basically on source test Java. So every test development that you do should come under this particular location. And couple of other plugins, Maven plugins for Maven compiler and Surefire report. So let us examine the examples package. So there is an examples test file. So this is the runner file. So in Cucumber, we'll have a runner file to run the test cases. Similarly, Karate also have a runner file from where the actual triggering point of your test cases or test scenarios. So this is the runner file from where the triggering test will start. So if you see here, users is mentioned here inside the bracket. So it It is basically the users.feature file. So for now, let's not go in detail of the runner file and configuration and what are the other details you can provide here and what kind of combinations you can provide here. If you observe here, there is nothing mentioned related to tags. So this runner configuration and different ways you can trigger the tests will be covered in the next sessions. But for now, just understand that you can trigger the test from this runner file. And you have a configuration file. This is the configuration file. Let me open it here itself. So this is my configuration file. So what are the different things we can configure here and what are the different details we can configure here? We'll see it in the next session. But for now, understand that this configuration file is a JavaScript file with a .js extension, and it will have one function in which you will specify all your variables, all your environment details, and this function will return the config. So the config is basically you are trying to define the particular variable config with all the details and you are trying to return it. So this particular .js file is heart of your Karate framework. So every configuration, what needs to be done, how it should be done, and where it should be done. So all those details, instructions, everything will come from this .js file. So this is the place where a QA, when he is trying to automate the APIs, should specify the most important details, the environment, certificate details, username details, and many other things you can do on the config.js. You'll see this also in the next session, like what extra features this .js file will provide. And this is the area where you define your test cases. Users.feature. So Karate archetype provides you with some basic default feature file to make you understand how the feature file will look like and what are the different tests. So let us try to run it. This is the name of the file, users.feature. So in the runner file, it was specified users. So how to run the Karate test? So once you, for practicing it, you may develop other feature files and you want to run it and see how the results are coming in. Correct. So right click on this file, click on run as, click on JUnit test. So this is one of the way to execute the Karate test. Go to the runner file, right click, run as JUnit test. So in the console, you can see the logs. Unlike UI automation, API automation will not pull you any browser. You can't see what is happening on a browser. But in the backend, the APIs are getting triggered and you are getting responses as well. So the area where you can look for is the logs, what is happening instantly. Correct? So if you see, the two scenarios are passed and two scenarios are executed. So this is one area where you can see the logs. So let us interpret the logs before going to the reports. If you see the right hand arrow button, the greater symbol, it means the details are related to request. If you see the left hand arrow, those details are related to response. So API will have a request and a response, correct? So you will try to give all the details in your request, be it be the URL or the headers or the HTTP method or some other details as per the API design. So gathering all the details and providing the details and triggering the request is the action that you do before you get the response. So these actions are considered as a serialization. So that is one more vocabulary term, serialization of an API. So gathering all the details that are required to trigger the API and triggering the request. So much before triggering the request, what are all the details that you do? What are all the steps that you follow is called as serialization of an API. So greater than symbol specifies the request, and left hand symbol, I mean the less than symbol, specifies the response. So here you are trying to do a post request with these header parameters, with this is the host URL, and these are the connection details, and this is the request. We'll see how a post request will look like, and how you send the payload, and how you add the headers and everything. For now, just try to understand, try to interpret the logs. So right hand symbol, if you see something is missing, then that is related to a request, and left hand symbol, any log you are seeing, then it is related to a response. So in the response you receive 201 status code. So this log, checking for the issues and trying to interpret the log will be little complex. So let's go to the reports part directly. So in the reports part, what happens is you can go to the target. Let me refresh the project. Yeah, here. So go to target, the karate reports, and go to example users.html. So this is the feature file that you triggered, right? So try to open this with any browser. Open with other. Yeah. So let us open with the Chrome. So this is the in detail report. So I recommend you to open the report and try to find out the issue if there is any, instead of trying to search in the logs. Either ways you can do, but I generally do with the report because it is very user friendly, and you can directly figure it out, like what the issue is and where you need to fix it. So there are like two scenarios executed, so there are two rows, and these are the reports you can see, like which, and each scenario will have a background as in the feature file. So play around this particular first file which was present. Try to understand the basic things, what is happening with the background and what is happening. Couple of scenarios. So in the report there are two scenarios, right? And we'll see, like we'll start with the first request, first get request, how to add it, how to run it in the next coming session. What else is left with? So we do the setup on IntelliJ. Similarly on the Eclipse we handled it. Yeah, that's all. Yeah, there is one more way you can run this particular test. As we mentioned, one way is to click on and run as JUnit test for practice, and the other way is to directly click on Maven test. So open the terminal at the project level and do a Maven test. It will run all the tests. So this is one other way you can do it. Okay. So one test is run and there are no failures. And karate, generally we don't want to run the entire suit when we practice. We want to run at a test level, right? So we'll use tags at that point in time. So that also we'll see in the next session, like how to run a particular scenario and not the entire suit when you practice. So let me do a quick recap of this session. We got started with the karate API automation on the IDE, how to set up by using a Maven archetype of karate, and we have examined the pom.xml. The dependencies are already added, and there is a sample feature file and sample runner file. So we ran the sample feature file using the runner file. Two ways you can trigger for now to practice. One is doing a Maven test, or do a right click and run as JUnit test. And on the reports, and two ways to examine the results. One is directly from the logs, because this is a backend automation, you don't have any UI. screens running around to see where exactly the issue happened, or you don't have any screenshots to see the results. But if you open the results.html, you will see a proper karate report, and you can figure it out like where exactly the issue has happened. That's all in this session. Next session we will see the get request, the keywords used in karate, and running the test using tags.